Hello, YouTube. This is Bardic Monk, and today we're going to be answering the question that I have of how much research is too much research into a character that you want to use for a game. For your role playing game, mileage may vary, but honestly, if I had to just give you the real quick uh, elevator pitch for what it takes to make a character, it's ground them in your brain with an image or a saying or a set of words, then give the immediate circumstances in which they find themselves in. I would then roll on the very, very useful 2d6 table of either being ready to throw down immediately with a 2, or being friends with you, very friendly with you, at a 12. I would give them a goal that they are currently trying to do. And lastly, come up with the general gist of their character as far as how they comport themselves. This is pretty much just anchoring the first thing. Where if it's an image of Christopher Walken, if for whatever reason the fifth thing, like the thing that anchors you to them, is his speech pattern, I would say number five would be like just getting that that speaking pattern down for yourself, and well enough that you know exactly how you're talking whenever you're having to talk like him or them. With those 5 steps, I managed to solve this problem for myself. We have Countess Ellen, who is the widow of Count Roderick of Salisbury, and he was the Count of Salisbury until he died. A lot of people die in this game, and the widow Ellen is just surviving him, running the county in his stead, and waiting for their son Robert to become old enough and wise enough to run Salisbury himself. The things that I knew about her, I needed an anchoring point. So sticking with the 5. The anchoring point that I have is, for me, drawings. I drew myself. I draw a lot, and one of the things I did was draw her. Again, I would recommend just like taking a picture of somebody from online or some character, and then using that as a jumping off point. There are a lot of medieval characters for you to grab onto. There's a whole lot of fantasy drawings. There's a whole lot of things online, free media for you to use at your table that you are not making money on. So feel free to just copy and paste to full effect as long as you're not selling it online. So if this is your personal game, don't worry about it. It's fine. But for me, I just needed to see what she looked like, and in drawing her, she's a little more serious than I would have like a youthful character running around here. She's still dressed kind of like in dark clothes, um, and I don't know how canon it is that she's wearing a crown, but she's of importance, so I assume she has a crown in my mind's eye how things are going. So this was my anchor point for step one. I needed a drawing of her. Step two, the circumstances in which she finds herself. I knew that she was in Sarum, and I know that she is visiting Buckholt, where we are currently staying, and pretty much on her travels up here, it is the start of like winter snowing, and I'm pretty sure the Saxons are no longer running around in the snow trying to steal crops that have been either burned or you know taken, and I don't think they're that desperate. I think if the Saxons were on the island and had nowhere else to go and no lands, they would definitely be running around, like running amok, just trying to destroy everybody. By the winter time, by the winter phase, I would say that everybody has kind of, you know, run the whole rating has run its course, and what we're dealing with right now are just like either stragglers who might be running around in the woods, or um, maybe catching them on the road if we're on our way into uh, Salisbury. So in this case, it should be relatively safe, but still, I think Countess Ellen has a lot of guards trying to protect her. Uh, of the other people in her retinue, she also has Robert, her son, and two jesters, as well as the father of our main character. Now, this NPC, this is really a different issue than any new NPC that you would come up with in your game. For example, I have my character Garen. He is a PC. I know everything about him because I have everything statted out. But for an NPC like her, I wouldn't stat her out completely. I don't think we need all that. So instead of doing all that, I didn't want to do it like for him. I also have Sir Folus, who is also an NPC, but he is not shown in any of the history books. He is an NPC that I have created. He's also a character that I have, yes, if you are thinking about it, I have statted him out. Yes, I did give him the full character sheet in this page. So a full character sheet for Sir Folus, but this is just a copy of a character, pre-generated character from the book. So I don't think it's that much of an issue for Sir Folus to like be created because he's really just a name with a stat block of pre-generated characteristics, and it's just like one step away from the main character for a game. No, I don't have that issue with Countess Ellen. Countess Ellen, she has several years of history wherein she has been around since like 580. So 580, sorry, 480. So she's been around for like 20 something years, um, wherein she like possibly meets the player characters. They might have something to do with the marriage between her and Count Roderick. I know some general things about her, but there are like of the 28 years I think I technically that she's been around in this game. I think that she is actually like in the notes for like maybe 5 years. Step three would be the rolling to see what we ended up with, and she ended up rolling a 9 during my session, so she is neutral, going on friendly for Garen and Sir Folus, so they are happy about that outcome. They were not sure about how, like, why she was. I guess she's visiting everybody during the winter phase, so they just weren't sure what her demeanor would be, and I found out with this role. And then I have a specific goal in mind, which is to figure out what the heck happened with Garen. He did have a situation where he ran away from a battle with Sir Folus in tow, specifically his just recently decorpsed body, where in he was in negative hit points and then suddenly uh, first aided back to life at like 3 health. Her goal though is just to really just look into Garen, see how Sir Folus is doing because he's like one of the few who made it back. So I thought about this and I ended up coming up with these 5 points really, and it's only after saying like, okay, so she is here to make sure he's okay, figure out what's going on with this the commoner boy who's been turned into a noble. What I needed really at the end of this was just to have the final like step for this thing. So just like an anchor point, because really, I think every table in this presumed like group of people, whenever they're dealing with this wife of a major character, they're just gonna have her name written out and then might have her for like a scene or two while he's still alive. But the fact that she becomes a major player, I wanted to find out what it is that she does, and I think it really boils down to those the court scenes for Spring. That's where she ends up getting a lot of play, and that's really like as much as I wanted to dig into and ended up doing a lot of research into like how other people played her and stuff. I think it was just reading into her character in her quotes when she has to make decisions for the good of the realm and how she makes those decisions. Really, it's what anchored me like anchored her down in my brain. So that fifth step is really just anchoring the character. Um, so in this case, I'm grounding her with a drawing of her. I wrote down her situation where she's got a retinue of people as well as some guards. Then I rolled to see what her disposition was going to be, and then I had the goal being to gather information on these two, whether he's doing well or not, and whether what he did was good for the realm, or if he did it like maliciously, or if he was like a coward or something during that situation. I think it was really just like determining whether he kind of like Sir Follis was hurt and then he just turned and ran as quickly as possible, or if he actually was trying to do good. I think that's really her goal there. So with those four things, I then anchored her with reading through the quotes from her because she shows up only after Roderick dies. So the Anarchy period, you're pretty much dealing with all her choices in Sarum as the Countess um, of Salisbury. So overall, those five things should be enough to anchor any character. Okay, so if you were rolling in one of my favorite campaigns, The Curse of Strahd, I really like this campaign, but there's a character who features prominently if you know where you're looking, and I think it'd be very easy for people to just skip him. But Blinsky, for me, Blinsky is a very unique individual. I will put him in the corner here. Blinsky, I love Blinsky. He is great. Blinsky is fantastic. Actually, let me pull him up. The coffee maker shop. There we are. Okay. So Blinsky, I have just two things I know about him before I look upon his wonderful face. And Blinsky, he is fantastic. He has monkey. He has nice little face. He's squeezable. Look at his cheeks. He runs around like Jester, and he likes to make dolls. He makes very good toys, and in the starting part of the adventure, you have haunted house, and things that you can bump into are his toys that are inexplicably inside the home that nobody has entered for a long time. And really, that was the start of my love for Blinsky. Was just looking at this picture and be like, bro, look at this dude. Look at him. He's got a monkey in tow. He's a little jovial in this book of just terrible things that happen to people, and he's just great. But the only things I know about Blinsky right now, Blinsky. Blinsky looks cool. Blinsky's got a monkey. Also, he's got toys that show up in a house for some reason, and he's like doing his best to just keep things happy and hopeful for the kids. He's also got a catchphrase that caught me immediately, which was, "If it's no fun, it's no Blinsky," and that really solidified the voice for this character. Do a very bad Russian impression, and you got Blinsky down. Make sure that he is always trying to be happy for the kids, and when there are no kids around, he is the kid in the group and he is just trying to make sure that everybody's having fun. Things that I have done with Blitzky for my games all spawned from these five ideas. Where to ground them, really, as much as it was, they have a picture of him in this book. That was not what started Blitzky's rise to my games for this for Curse of Strahd. Blinsky really was solidified by the tag on his toys that just say, "Is no fun, is no Blinsky." He runs a doll shop somewhere in this book. I needed to find out who the hell Blinsky was. I did a cursory Google search, found out he was on a page in here, and I was like, okay, let me see his picture. Oh, I have everything I need to know about him. I do know that he is grounded with having somewhat broken English. I also know that his current circumstances are he is running a toy shop in a town that is just losing its mind, and he is doing everything he can to just be jovial about everything, regardless of the world falling, the sky falling down around him. So his current circumstances not great. Roll for disposition. I gave him a +5 to this, and that pretty much makes it so that he's going to start at neutral at worst because he was trying to stay positive with everybody, and in this case, he would be friendly and neutral to friendly. So he'd be like, just like a valued customer walks in, but also these guys got a little something in them. So I'm just gonna try to help them out a little. I'm trying to help them out just a tiny bit. Okay, it's fine. Would you like toy? Look at this toy. You pull tab on this wooden block, and oh, out pops Strahd. Strahd von Zerovich. He is perfectly captured inside this toy that I've given you. Oh, you don't like that? You don't like? Okay, so I am giving you a toy chest that when you open it up, oh, it's mimic and it's spitting out baby heads. Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. Okay, so instead of doing that, uh, I that's just pretty much like immediately examples for toys. I had Blinsky is like the first NPC in any of these RPG books that I was like, oh, I know exactly what to do with this guy. This is great. And it all starts with those five things where have the disposition now. His goal was even from the the grounded part at the beginning of is no fun is no Blinsky. He is all about the fun. He is all about making sure that these kids are happy. And even in this messed up world where he's got these creepy toys, that's exactly what he needs in order to reach these kids and to make life just a little bit more bearable for everybody in here. The player characters were terrified by him. They really didn't like him as far as just like how he was approaching them and how he was doing things, but really that they had, they reacted so viscerally to just this character that I was able to just throw whatever I wanted to at them, and they really did just play in character. The players themselves liked the character. The characters did not like the character. So at the table, Blinsky was perfect. Oh, last thing for anchoring the character, the thing that I needed, I had his catchphrase. I just needed a look for him, and that's when I had the picture that pretty much anchored him. I did also read into like other things that you could bump into. I did search the adventure for things that you could bump into from Blinsky further, and he's just hinted at here or there in the adventure, and then you can eventually find him. And those five things really did spark life into this character. Another example of having these like preset characters for Blinsky, it was more he shows up, he's a little bit described in a little bit like sprinkled here and there, little bits of him, but he doesn't have like a full history here. Blinsky does show up in like some wikis, but really there wasn't too much history. I think I just latched onto this one character so much, and it turned the Curse of Strahd into the Curse of Blinsky, kind of. Um, but in another case of a character who has a history that you kind of have to keep yourself from delving too far into. Unless you know everything about comics, then this probably won't be an issue. But what about Marvel? If you have to roll, if you have to run this game for a group of people, I would say, well, if you want to roll it, there are going to be a handful of characters that you might be playing as, your players might be playing as, and maybe they're a huge fan of the character they chose. So they'll go into the full history of them. They're going to have all these stats and everything. But on your side, how are you going to describe Frank Castle, the Punisher? How are you going to describe Steve Rogers, Captain America? How are you going to get through all these people and make them believable in the way that Marvel comics are written for these characters? And the answer is you don't. You are not writing a Marvel comic book to be read in the future. You're not trying to stay consistent. Heck, talk to a lot of people apparently on YouTube, and um, just comic books in general are not being very consistent. Everybody's rebooting everything, and overall, I would say, well, that's cool and all, but hey, just I don't know, open up to one of these characters and just say, okay, Modoc. What do I know about Modoc? I know some stuff about Misty Knight. I watched the Netflix stuff, but Modoc, I do know that he is a thing with he has a thing with AIM. I think AIM created him or something, and he is um, He is a robot that's going to essentially be tied to AIM in some way, shape, or form, and doing science stuff, um, science evil stuff. And I think that's enough for you to jump off of. In this case, he has a small little history blurb and a little personality description here. It's great. It's cool. Um, but really, what do you need to know about this character? Well, I have all the traits and everything written out here. We have all his powers here. I would grab all the stuff that is in this character sheet. I would grab exactly what they say in this history, exactly what it says in this personality, and read nothing else. Nothing else whatsoever. I don't give a crap about if issue 214 of the Avengers he decided to do this one thing or another. I don't know what it was. No, I don't care. MODOK is currently in my universe, Marvel Universe 61 Earth 616 or something 656, and he's doing X, Y, or Z, trying to rob a bank with the help of all his cronies, and he is doing it with science. And in trying to stop MODOK, they end up essentially start. I would treat him as like using his abilities to essentially further complicate a simple situation. They just need the money for funding to get X or Y thing from a different party, and in the Avengers trying to stop him, uh, him and his cronies get so like mad and so desperate that they end up overly complicating this procedure and then getting more people into trouble. So really, I think you don't have to dig too deep. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do the 5 things with him. Okay, so pretty much the 5 things I would do in order to get MODOK on my table. First, I need to ground them, and I know that it is a creation of AIM to run AIM, which inverts a lot of things about creating something in order to have it serve you. So I'm very curious if it's like in my brain, I would have it so that MODOK is essentially the hive mind that they need and decision maker in order to make sure that all their work comes together at a certain point in the future. So I would have it so that he's always thinking about something, and whenever something goes wrong for the players, it's planned out by MODOK. It's things going according to plan for him. And until he is beaten, and even after he's beaten, maybe um, if if we're extending these adventures, maybe after he's beaten, he's like taken out of commission, but then bad things are still happening, and it turns out that he's planned for this all along type deal. So overly thinking, and I know he's a big brain. Those are going to be my jumping off points. His current circumstances for my table, he's running AIM, but AIM is currently underfunded, so they're going to be stealing money, using a lot of science equipment, doing a lot of stuff for maybe he's teamed up with somebody to start like stealing from a bank, maybe, or stealing from several banks at the same time. He's got the bandwidth for that, so that might be what he's doing. Rolling for disposition, you could probably skip that for a villain, especially for Marvel. You might have some anti-heroes running around. I would roll for seeing if Taskmaster is still like friends with the Avengers at a certain point, but really you're gathering your group together to fight MODOK, so you know exactly what his setup is going to be. I would still roll for like the initial reaction to see like whether he's more like defensive or if he's like on the attack when they like round the corner. He just happens to be like they run into somebody swinging a bat at somebody else type deal. Um, so that would be the role for disposition. His current goal, again, trying to get money for his schemes, possibly a future scheme, or depending on how the characters are playing, maybe he is currently in the middle of something else, and now this is becoming um, this original thing is just a ruse for he's trying to get rid of somebody from the player character group, or maybe he is trying to take care of somebody famous that they're now having to try to protect. Maybe he's trying to take care of Misty Knight. She's getting too close to something, and they got to stop him from stopping her. So we have the goal, and then to anchor the character, what I would do for MODOK at my table, I would have a drawing on a piece of paper, and I would have, um, let's say, this is this is the drawing, and I would have just like Modoc here, and when I'm talking as him, whenever he shows up, now he's floating in the screen, and he's constantly. I think the action that I would point out all the time is that he's constantly banging on the console. I like the look of him like sitting in like a floating chair. He's got like a console of like little doodads, like um, some like what are they called, joysticks and dials and stuff like that. He's messing with all of them to like move around. And whenever he's telling the adventurers or the heroes something, and they like foil him, he's like smacking down on things, and you just see like the chair going like up and down, like whoa, whoa, and he's just like yelling. Then he's like, "All right, aim after them," stuff like that. So that would be the way that I anchor him. Just turn it into something that you can play with, and in this case, just he gets angered easily, and he has a little anger thing that he does. I felt like this is a very important little topic to deal with because honestly, really, Countess Ellen did take me out of the game for a week because I was just trying to overanalyze her. When really, all you need to worry about is whether they have those 5 points again. Ground them, their current circumstances, roll for disposition, give their goal, and anchor the character in some way so you can keep them consistent. Really. So I hope this helps anybody with what they do in in your games and your friends' games. If you show them this video, really just I just want to answer questions, and the better and the more videos I do, the more I just want to keep trying to help out as best I can. I do have another video for Pendragon in the works. I have a lot of things to go over, and I am currently trying to get to knighthood before um, the end of this adventure because I really want to start getting into all the steps of Winterface because there are a couple things we have not seen yet. And I would love to see what the heck is going on for the other like 6 things they have not yet gone over. Um, like economic circumstances are still a mystery to me. Um, as far as like the more deeper aspects of it, and I don't have any squires or maids in waiting. Horses I don't train yet. I have training practice still going, um, and I'm curious about the prestige rewards and stuff. I could read about that now, but those are more rules that I am not going to be using for a while, so I'd rather read up on them whenever the time comes. So, all right, and with that, I'm just going to see you guys next time, and I hope you have a wonderful adventure.